What's up? What's up? Let's just get right into it. So, good morning, everybody. Hope you have an amazing day so far. And it is that time. It's that time of New York session. And we got Austin here, and we go to Caesar. So, guys, we're gonna get started with because as y'all know, New York is opening very soon, within 30 minutes, and I really want to take the time right now and just go straight to the charts and look for some opportunities if the market is giving us some opportunities this morning on a Friday, and really just prep up for what is to come because first thing we are looking at is the news. And as you guys can see, news aspect, well, there's not a lot of dollar news going on except for Canadian. Now, there probably was some type of movement happening during that time period, but then again, we're gonna look at that and see what exactly did occurred in that during that morning that we did have here. But let's get into it. So here on the indices, right? Indices had the most beautiful drop ever that I've seen in a while, right? Just melted down. No signs of anything of like stopping. It just kept going and going. Did see some type of movement happen inside here playing out, really messing with a lot of people's emotions, from buying and selling. But then one last time we have this nice eruption to the downside. Now, a couple things we can kind of see here because when we're looking at US 30, one of the things if I ask myself is when I look at that bigger direction, where exactly is this potentially going to? Because that's what you want to first come down to some type of conclusion or just some type of an idea is where could price potentially going to, because when you go down that smaller time frame, that's when we can look for a position to continue leading in that direction. As of right now, you know could it be funny or could it be crazy that maybe we can see US 30 come as low as down here? I don't know. Like some could seem crazy to some people. Thousand pip movement, but we've seen movements like this happen before where there is 3,000 pips in a day. So this is something I'm still looking at in this area for US 30 on a bigger time frame, just because we did have all this money that was cleared up for quite some time that was building up, as you can see here, for about looks like, yeah, almost like a day and 20 hours, almost 2 days, until we had this aggressive push to the downside, clears all this out. But the only thing that I'm still, that wasn't really sitting right with me was the fact that there were still equal lows left behind. So even if we position ourselves in here, we're just adding more liquidity in that area, which I'm just paying attention to, right? I'm not saying that I'm ready to buy or sell, but I'm just really cautious with what's happening there. If we look at NAS 100, we do see something when it comes down to, entering this zone here. But all I did was mark up a zone that I had here specifically that was really interesting to me. But regardless, I don't think I'll personally be taking any type of buying or executing anything as of right now. Just because if you ever heard of the term big wicks like to get filled in, this is something that I'm already seeing on considering big wicks. And if you are a little aware of it, big wicks pretty much are positions and stop losses. Remember, the market's really just trying to find where is the most liquidity? Where are we trying to attack and where are we aiming to hurt the most people? If I position myself where there's big wick here, I've just added more liquidity where it gives the market more intention and reason to continue looking at this target. So as of right now, like I said, I had the zone marked up. I wanted to see if it was going to at least reach into that area. Looks like it is, but that doesn't mean that we're looking at buying or selling in that zone. Now, we did see this, and I kind of want to look at this real quick before that. Yes, well, was it yesterday? Yeah, I think it was yesterday. But yesterday, um, in the morning con Latinoamérica, we were actually looking at this zone over here that you can see that had a potential, right? A potential buy opportunity, you would say, where market could have, right, could have given us a nice buy. But the only thing that we were cautious was the fact on how aggressive this market was. This market is so aggressive that the directional bias, we were going to be counter trend trading. But when you look at this, right, because it was around this time period that we were looking at NOS 100, you can already see that the market, when it reversed to the downside, consolidated for quite some time. We did visit inside the zone here, but then we had this nice reaction to the upside, which this gives me very clarity, right? Around, let's see here. This was around, yeah, this morning, around 1, the 12 around there. Yeah, 12, 12:30. That this was the movement that we were looking for potentially a buy scenario, aka the mitigation. And so here, because it already mitigated, my biggest thing was not wanting to participate in this again, all because of that reason. My goal isn't to play areas that are already mitigated. My goal is to potentially continue playing on areas that have not transitioned the money from one place to another. And the money was already transitioned from one place to another just a lot more sooner. And so when you see this market was came in, we did have a nice little reaction that even if someone would have been trying to convince themselves that like no, we still have some type of opportunity to buy, we were still going on the fact that this was a counter trend trade. Again, this happened last night in the middle of the night, aka 12 midnight. This was the movement they were looking for. If I would have saw this, of course, this idea would have been done. I would have already determined that. Or me already looking at that, I already determined it. Not because it looks like it just hit stop loss, but the fact of this is the movement that we look for, right? This specific movement. And so even though it left us, that was it. Market still came in, played a little bit off, right? Ran up about 26 pips. So hey, maybe someone did get into it and they, move their stop loss to break even. If not, but personally, me, there would have been no more reason for anybody to get into this if this was the movement that you were waiting for, right? Even though it happened a lot more sooner than it did. But then after that, of course, market just aggressively reacts to the downside. So I just wanted to show that just so everybody can get a little bit more clarity with what happened inside that zone. Because now, what are we aiming to see? Like I said, indices are still working its way lower. Indices are just working its way lower into these areas where there's liquidity. We have a nice huge gap here that played out. We also have NOS 100 that aggressively is melting to the downside, right? XPX 500 as well. Well, US 30, in other words. But US 30 gives me at least more clarity with the fact that we are approaching an area and a zone between prices where there could be some type of consolidation happening or some type of bounce. I'm not really big with when it comes down to like trading support and resistance, but I do pay attention to price action. I do pay attention to how is it that price reacts in certain areas and prices. Like if I had to draw a line between this to this, anytime price comes in between here, I see that it has some type of reaction. Even if it's just the wick, it reacts, 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 reaction, reaction, buys. So could there be a reaction into here? Maybe. Like I said, I'm just going based off of past history. Reacts, you know? reaction, reaction. It's just, this is a very interesting area where price loves to react. Okay. So, could there be a way that we could probably find some type of buying position in there? Or if we do come into the zone, you know, some type of accumulation? Maybe, maybe. Now, what I want to do is I really want to dissect, right? I really want to dissect what is exactly happening to here. And if this is a really nice area and target that we can really look into to find some type of buying position in there. Because if not, again, we have this very lower entry that we are paying attention to. But something in here I would not mind to look for, whether it was a little bit more lower than what it is currently right now. US 30 did fill in that gap compared to, NOS 100 and XPX 500. So in my eyes, I see US 30 as the one that is leading this market for those other two pairs when it comes down to correlation. So here, right, if we do, right, want to continue this running a little bit more lower, the question is, can we find some type of entry working our way into there? Because again, that was part of what the assignment, the homework was, is looking for where it is that this is going to. Potentially the direction could be aiming to continue down lower here, especially again the fact that all the others indices are still roughly behind, right? They're still roughly behind, and they might be using US 30 to continue that run to the downside. So that might be something that we might be paying attention to here. And so, where exactly could we be looking to? Again, if we drop down, my goal right now is to really dissect this movement here and figure out where is it that we can find some type of re-entry that the money did not transfer from one side to another, right? AKA the mitigation setup. But we have to take it step by step, not to confuse, but to understand what is the language that the market's talking about, because as you can see here, we did have market that was giving us that consolidation, aggressive movement to the downside, right? But then price came in here and reacted. So off the bat, there goes stop loss, right? What do I mean by that? Here's when you start to really, really read the markets. And you forget all this indicators and EMAs, and you go based off what the market's telling you. When you are buying in a position, no matter if it's a buy or sell, support and resistance, what is the one thing that you put there? Your stop loss. So sometimes there's some traders, guys, that just continue writing this, that don't move their stop loss at all, and they just keep it at break even. So now there's a position order just sitting there. What does this look like? Clear liquidity, institutional candle, big eruption to the upside, price revisits, buys again. Boom, there's another stop loss there. What happens when people are trying to hold orders? They're buying, but what happens? They move their stop loss to break even, which is what they're supposed to do. Boom. So now they're floating to profits. So now we have two areas where potentially the market could be targeting to. So it's not that whenever you look at these markets that you're just assuming that price is just trading through these areas. There's always intention and reasons why they're trading through these areas. But you just have to dissect and read it. So boom, boom, right? Price over time, right? We can see that it looks like price came in, feel this and if this imbalance continue working its way up higher. So as of right now, me looking a lot more into detail when it comes down to this price on US 30, there isn't really anything I'm liking except for maybe, right? This is going to be a very interesting small play that I'm willing to potentially take depending on what we get here. Let me keep dissecting this. Because remember, Right now, what we're looking for is the money going from one place to another, aka the mitigation setup. This right here, so far, has a nice clear liquidity, institutional move to the downside, big aggressive, big push up. Okay. So far we're looking at that. Oops. Delete that. Delete that. But I am aware that if we do take something like this, again, it's a counter trend, especially if the market's reacting the way it is. Let's drop down to an 8-minute time frame. I really want to see what is that we can get into here. Okay, all this imbalance still. What about a 10-minute? Okay, that gives me a little bit more better clarity. Boom. Cool. So here is maybe, right? Maybe we can see some type of reaction into this area with a nice little 39 pip risk. But we're not taking nothing too crazy. Like I said, you can go for 1 to 3. Let me see. Let me keep looking at this real quick. I could see that. I'm okay with playing this right here. Price comes into here, trades this area, continuing to the upside. That might be a target, right? I'm still looking at this to see, right? Let's continue looking at this. Now, here, of course, we could look for more into the selling aspect because as y'all see, market is working its way up more lower, so that's what we would want to play more. I guess the only thing I would say is this. If we do consider taking that small US 30 play, it would have to be something where we are very, very aware and cautious of, you know, because price, like this is the exact same area that we have for US 30 just on NOS 100. With NOS 100, we do see the right reaction input, like, this imbalance to the upside. Price comes back into here, but it looks like it traded already in there, right? It looks like it traded partially, still missed it, but the transfer from one place to another did happen, okay? From here to here. What about XPX 500? Just curious. Curious George. Mm. Cool. Same thing over here from the XPX 500. Traded in there. So for let's see. The only thing, right? I'm really, really just really paying attention to is if I feel like if we do play this, something is telling me that it could potentially play, but it won't hit our entry because of the fact of on a bigger time frame scale, the inefficiency or that imbalance is right there. And right now, guys, what I'm looking for is if you have not heard yet about like inefficiencies or what those are, pretty much in other words, fair value gaps or AK imbalances. And usually price wants to aim and target those specifically. The thing is since we are playing a bigger time frame scale, there might be a chance that the market might come into here, play off on a bigger scale outside of our mitigation zone on a very small setup that we see here, and then continue going up. I mean, down. But at the same time, we do see price react very aggressively into here. We did remember and consider this as a potential downtrend continuing, like, to the downside, but still willing to take this as a counter trend. I'm personally okay with taking this. Not gonna lie to you guys. So just because it's following my confirmations, but overall, again, I am aware on the bigger time frame scale that we can, yeah, you can go ahead. You could do that. Of course, of course. I've totally forgot to do that too, Bhavik. But yeah, this is just something I'm kind of paying attention to see what we could get into that aspect when it comes down to the area for that. But if not, like I said, somewhere in here could be nice. I believe NOS 100. So far, if we are going to taking type of setups in areas, then we could see some cells up here. But that's if we do like to revisit up here for a potential sell. XPX 500, same exact concept. We still have sell opportunities. That's if we get to the part of if we have market trading up to the upside. Same thing for US 30. Well, US 30 has all this liquidity being left behind. So it'll just be kind of something to pay attention to. But yeah, I wanna personally just see what exactly we could get into here. Just going based off of like just dissecting all of this that we saw. Again, it is a big counter trend trade, and we could continue again. A couple things. Either revisit back to the upside, continue doing that, maybe. I just wouldn't really want to play too much XPX5. I mean, NOS 100 currently in this area with this big wick that sits below it, just because it, for me, my eyes is just screaming money, right? It just screams money. And if again, you can look backwards and look back into time, what happens to big wicks? Not just because it's an equal high, but what happens? It gets obliterated. What happens to big wicks? Look to the right side. It gets obliterated. Because there's a concept and reason behind those areas. There's a concept and reason. You can see here too. Big wicks over time gets obliterated. Big wicks one last time. Did sell off. Boom. But then anybody that did not take part to, orders, positions, whatever the case may be, gets obliterated. So for me, again, I'm just from the idea behind that, I'm okay with not taking this buy position just because I could continue seeing this working its way lower. With US 30, like I said, just going based off just dissecting this small little setup here, I'm okay with risking about almost 39 pips. And if this holds, hey, we can see this potentially revisiting back at least halfway. Yeah, let me fix this right there. Boom. Right? Risking about 34 pips for a nice 300 pips. But then again, remember, we are playing in areas where there is intention and reason why the market could continue working its way up below just because we're really going against the market. So you have two options. Do you feel comfortable enough to say, hey, maybe the way how Neri dissected this setup earlier in detail doesn't make sense to me? And if it doesn't, that's the beautiful part about becoming a trader is that you have to now decide on your own and to see if this aligns with your setup. And if it doesn't, by all means, you can definitely say, heck no, I'm not taking this trade. This girl crazy. What's she doing? What's she talking about? Good morning, Foreign Pips. What's up, Habibi? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? I'm always glad to see you. And so you can see from this here, and I'm actually going to prep my stuff up over here. Again, I'm not, and I feel I like this setup. Like I said, it's for sure a risk. Every trade is risky, but I'm okay with taking what I see and what I'm comfortable with on the aspect of understanding that it did qualify my setups, right? I am aware where I am playing in the direction. So could the market go completely against me? Of course. But when the confirmations are there and I'm okay with taking a counter trend and just keeping an easy 1 to 3, I'm good. I'm good. I don't, everything else is pretty just extra noise, as in what anybody says. So let's see here. Where is it at? Where is it at? Give me a second, guys. Mm-mm. 41. Oh, right there. Trying to look for it. Give me 1 second. Just can't seem to find it. Can't seem to find it where I need it to be. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm. Drop a number 1 in the chat. You're still with me. I'm just trying to do something on this on my other monitor right now. Just trying to see this right here. Cool, 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 cool. Let's see. Mm-mm. Give me 1 quick second. And then 10-minute time frame. Cool, cool, cool. So it should be good right there. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Okay. Let me zoom out real quick. Cool, cool. Yeah, we'll still be getting into here. Like I said, we have 4 minutes until New York market open. We're seeing NAS 100 reacting around this area, which is pretty good. Like I said, it's it was a high probability area that we're seeing that market set up, but me personally, I could not find where we could have entered. I wasn't gonna be like, oh, just in the zone and let's risk 138 pips this morning. Like, we're not gonna do that. But it's just a high probability area that we could see the market potentially react to, right? Because with US 30, well, we are seeing this starting to push up a little bit more higher. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Give me 1 second. But that's where we have all this so far playing in that area. And I'm kind of curious to see how much would it leave us behind. But actually, we'll just take off from here. If it does, then of course we're no longer going to be paying attention to this here. And guys, if you are barely hopping on, then you pretty much kind of missed what I was explaining earlier. Pretty much in detail why we were getting to there. Because that's one of the biggest things I explain whenever we're looking at setups is that I don't just give it to you, but I actually explain it to you why. So you understand how it is that you can also become more independent into this and use your I guess this is the best way I can say it because I don't know how to say it in English like that, but 2 cents. And it's not like I know it sounds very like, oh, what the heck is this girl talking about? Like, why is she talking to me like that? Yeah, that's the best way I could put it. But it's not. I hopefully didn't come out wrong or disrespectful. But it's like as a trader, there's two different type of traders you can become. One that's independent or dependent. Now, there's no right or wrong answer. If you want to become dependent and you want people to tell you what the trades are, what they do here and there, copy and paste, by all means, you're more than welcome. But if you're that person where you want to manage your own trades and you do what it is that you say and look at the markets and can tell by just the setup itself, then that's where you have to start coming into conclusion on understanding that you have to be the one that initiates this whole thing, right? You have to be the one that initiates all of it. US 30 is working its way up higher. Let's see this real quick. Let's actually dissect this. Okay. We're having US 30 really react off of here around a smaller time frame. Where could we be going to? Like I said, we could be aiming for this imbalance here. Is there something that we could find, as a potential reentry? Let's go on a small second time frames. Yeah, you did see this nice little clear liquidity institutional move. Little pop did bounce off, but that's not really the main thing that I want to just look for. I want to look for stability with the market structure as well, right? Market could be just aiming to attack these equal highs here, right? Could be aiming to attack those equal highs, which makes it a great TP, meaning like if honestly we do come into this area and this does hold right over here, and this doesn't, and it comes down, continues, nice little 1 to 3, risking about 39 pips, potentially make 313. Of course, we're going against the market, but nothing too crazy. But we are playing areas where, well, Nas 100, there she goes. Again, I just didn't see where exactly someone could have positioned themselves for here. Maybe play on off of that. But there we go. XTX 500, well, there it goes too. But if this gets to like at least running up here, then by all means, then potentially I'm not gonna be more interested into this anymore because then if it does retrace and revisits in areas that maybe we could see this reacting to, then this might be like a very hard drop. And it might just really continue going its way where it wants to, which is the bigger picture direction, a lot more lower, right? So that might be a thing. But it just, yeah, I reacted off of here. It's clear liquidity, institutional move up to the upside. I really wanted to see this get obliterated just because of the concept behind it as well too. But there we go. US 30. Ah, there we go. And so far, I would say on looking at this specifically, I just see this continuing working its way. Like, I just see this really just holding and really continuing to work its way up. There's a little small setup here that we can see, on a selling. If we did revisit that, this nice little clear of liquidity, institutional move to the upside, big push down. But I can see this being the reaction that we had, which this can get ran through, so it's just what I see that people could potentially see as well, and then XPX 500 is in that zone, in that area right now as we speak. US 30, well, US 30 just continuing up higher. I wouldn't really trade this here. If I'm gonna sell, I would like to sell a lot more higher prices, not where prices low, right? Where there are potential areas for more buying opportunities. Because you don't want to sell too low or then a buy too high. Because then what you're going to see here is this potentially gets stopped out for that reason. And the way how price is just working, look at that. Is it a coincidence? No. All we're doing is just reading the markets, reading the candles. What are the masses doing? What are people trying to do right now? Right? What are people trying to do? So keep that in mind. Let's see. My bad, guys. I didn't have the chat opened up real quick. Good morning. Welcome to Profits on Platinum. Done for the week. Sheesh. Damn. Míralo. Damn. No, that's cool. That's actually really good. Yeah. Let's see. Dude, this is clean. There you go. Could you actually send like like a 4 hour time frame if you're able to. Like I want to see what's on the left side as well. It'd be pretty good. Just so we can see why is it that you got into here. Or maybe just dissect it. Maybe this is the big time frame already and you saw something smaller. Let us know. Just drop inside the chat so we can actually see a lot more into detail. Let's see what's happening. Boom. You see, guys? This is exactly why you are patient and you read what the market's telling you. You don't react very quickly. I could have been like, hey, let's get in because it's active in the zone. But no, selling into here, again, in my perspective, you're selling too low a price because price currently is here around these price ranges as we speak. So these are too low prices to be selling in my eyes unless you're really going for a counter trend. But we were and we are, right? We are in a very interesting area where there is heavy buying pressure going on a bigger time frame scale. US 30, well, never really came into our entry. So I would say it's officially done. I wouldn't really get into this setup anymore at all. I would use this setup as a take profit. So if you're aiming to come to these areas at TP, because now here it just really I could just see us more so getting this out because look, if we're talking about this was a nice, interesting area, let me actually look at this in detail. Let me see. Inside that imbalance, is there another imbalance? Right? And how do we know that? How do we look for that? And here's a great example, guys. I actually didn't even share this with y'all, but here are just basic trading modules. If you're brand new, mainly right now, focus on the movement. Okay? If you're brand new. Okay? Just focus on the movement. Focus what your eyes see. Here's a sell setup. Focus on the movement. Focus on what your eyes see, right? So inside that imbalance, my goal is to look for this. Is there another imbalance that I can find, right? These are just simple examples. They're not the actual definition, okay? They're very simple examples for you to understand what it is that we look for inside these markets here specifically, okay? Very simple examples, very simple definitions. Nothing where it's crazy, crazy, crazy. Okay. But let's see. Let's see. Let's go check out US 30. Let's go check out our little setup that we have there. US 30 currently right now. Yeah, it took off, guys. Yeah. Yep. Honestly, yeah, this area here I wouldn't really worry about anymore. Right? I wouldn't really worry about it anymore. I would use this potentially considering take profit because now why? Why did I just switch my bias that quick? If I was ready to buy into here an area, it does make sense. You're not even in that zone. Why not continue taking the setup? Right? Why not? Well, number one is because, of course, the movement, the play we're looking for is this. Our goal was to really position ourselves into there for a nice little, we weren't maybe a good little 300 pips in there, 200 pips this morning. But again, we see that the market did react off of the zone here. Okay. Like I said, if we dissect it and to see what exactly was the cause of that. Okay. Maybe it could have been this, imbalances that we do see here and this big gap that was not filled in yet. But the thing is, for me, guys, I don't trade off of gaps, right? Matter of fact, you went past the gap. It went even more lower. How low did it go? Maybe somewhere into here, which is, I'm not really interested into that. Like, we're talking about more and more lower. Like, at that point, I would have saw that all as liquidity because of how many wicks and stacked orders there were in there. I would have been like, okay, that could have got played out, but we're seeing that it's respecting it. But now my area where I potentially wanted to buy into, I'll no longer buy in there just because here is where now we've officially have anybody that got into here, your stop loss is there, you know, potential stop loss version here because from going from trading to here, market come back and revisit. Let me actually do this instead. Let's eliminate all the wicks and let's click on this line and let's focus on the movement specifically. Okay. Just focus on the movement. You can see if this is the main thing we're looking at because currently we are in the uptrend. When we're looking for uptrend setups, we're looking for these specific movements here. And as you can see here, guys, that we did have a quality buy setup module showing you guys. And so the goal here is for us to find buying opportunities, big push down, big push up, revisits, trades in here, takes off. There goes one setup. This setup already, people who are trading this got into here, put their stop losses below, and probably are riding this buy, right? Let's just say if no one took profits, they're probably riding this buy to the upside, which now considers this to be a stop loss. You come back into here, there are more people who traded inside this area. Got in here, their stop losses are beneath this big wick, and so now it took off. Now here we did have price come back into here, trade inside here, price took off. We came to revisit back into an area where price trade to here and take off. I see this whole area, right? And I'll keep this little price thing so I can just see how it reacts. But I'll no longer take it. I see this whole zone as liquidity city. Okay? Liquidity city. I just made that up right now. But that's the best way you'll probably remember it. Liquidity city or liquidity price zone, price actions area that you can see where there is so much stacked orders currently as we speak that I can see this and I would not be surprised if this whole area gets obliterated and just, gets all liquidated out because everything's starting to line up now. You have all these liquidity areas that still potentially market could come back and hurt because big wicks like to get filled in. Market loves to attack where does it hurt the most people, where's the most money. That is where it wants to aim for, right? Money, money, money. At the same time, if you were familiar with correlations, then you can see that NAS 100 is still behind. It still hasn't even filled and finished up this gap here, which mean that this could probably continue working its way down, just like XPX 500. So if US 30 is a lot more lower, this guy's gonna look at NAS 100 and be like, yo, like you're still up here. We're already down here. Let me continue working my way down so you can come down too. And if I have to continue going down, you'll go down so we could just meet at pretty much correlated prices. Right? And here's just this right here for the example. Like I said, just to give everybody more so a POV. 8-hour time frame. You have here the first chart, US 30. The second chart, NAS 100. Third chart, XPX 500. If I put them all on the same time frames, 8 hours, you can see what I'm talking about, right? You'll be able to see what I'm talking about on an 8-hour time frame. You see here, 8 hours. Let me delete all this. Where was the gap? Gap, boom. Gaps down here, gaps down here. This already filled in the gap. These have not. So meaning that these guys are behind the price. These guys are behind. This one already did the job. So maybe now the goal for the indices are for them to all align at the same time, which is they're not. This might continue working its way down, attacking liquidity city, because there's reasons why the market could potentially aim for these areas and potentially come down more lower that we had it from this nice buying position that was explained earlier during this call, which this could be a potential area. And at the same time, with all the other indices like NAS 100, this could continue aiming lower. So if this goes lower, this goes lower, this goes lower to now aim for where they need, to correlate. Maybe. These are just ideas and thoughts. But these ideas and thoughts usually do, I'm not going to say because they do happen, But I've seen them. They they do the same thing. Market repeats the same exact pattern over and over and over. And you don't have to look. And you know it's pretty much funny, you guys. You don't need to know or have any type of experience in trading just to see what I just explained to you. You could just be like, I have zero experience in trading, and I probably understood exactly what you said. Prices need to correlate, right? These indices pretty much they move at the same time. And when they don't, then divergence begins to happen. They move against each other, which can kind of be funky, a little bit more, I won't say a little bit more harder to trade. I would just say more of an awareness to trade. I don't think anything's hard. It's just you just what makes it hard is just making those decisions. But just the awareness of it, right? So let's see here. What's happening with Liquidity City? Um, yeah, so Price is just doing that right now currently. Mm-mm-mm. Let's see here. Now, there's one thing I could say though. I was one thing I could say when it comes down to this here specifically is that since we are in a heavy buy zone area for the indices, could there be a chance we can see a retracement, right? Let's drop down to like a 15-minute time frame. Could there be some type of retracement? Could there be some type of play out zone? We'll see. Many cents is a chart. Okay. Okay, I see what you're saying now. Okay, I could see it. Yeah. Clear. Big push up. Yeah, so you got into this area zone. So that makes sense. Yeah, has a lot more clarity. Amita Austin. We'll look at oil right now too. That setup looks clean too. XPX 500. Yeah, that's that area. Yeah, XPX 500 right now probably has like a little really nice area for a sell right there. Yeah. I want to see, let's see guys. Let me give me a second. Let me see if I can find something. I'm kind of curious to see if we can really work our way down and dissecting the setup. So we got this nice push down, price reacting. 5 seconds. You know, honestly, I would not be surprised if maybe we can get something like this. Clears all this out. Big push up, big push down. All right. I want to see how this reacts. Left, right. Let me see you do it. Left, do it. Right, do it. Oop, 30 seconds. I'm kind of curious. I would probably say this inefficiency right there. Mm-mm-mm. Let's see. Who's in it? I'm in it. I'm in this. I'm in it. I'm in it. Sheesh. I'm in this right now. Nice little 1 to 3 if you wanted to take it. That was quick. That was really quick. Mm-mm. Boom. So that was fun. That was interesting how this plays out. Still haven't moved my stop loss to break even, so I'm still surviving. I could see this really working its way down lower. I have my take profit down here. Let me zoom out real quick. If it does really hold, guys, I have it down here. So I'm not out. But hey, I'm really going against the market right now. So mm-mm. Giving this trade room. Honestly, I didn't really give this trade room to breathe, but hey, we're gonna take it, man. All this liquidity, that'd be awesome if this gets cleared out. All that money right there. But we're in an area where, boom, yeah, cleared, took us out. But we're really in an area where for sure there was heavy price squeezing and squeezing, squeezing. But we did see, right? Right? We did see where nice little reaction did run a what? This probably ran about how many pips did it run? Let's see. This ran a quick little 35 pips on us. But that was like, and that's the thing about like these seconds, guys. Like when you're trading seconds, it can go any place, anywhere. Like look how fast these candles print out. Like if you're on a 1 second time frame, this is what you're looking at. Just the 1 second alone. They move very, very quickly. But just kind of see that from POV. Neri, do you know if Monday is a good day to trade? Haven't been in the markets long. Don't know if the holidays impact the market at all. Well, holidays, I wouldn't really trade anything. I would say leave it to like on the side. I believe markets are actually closed on the holidays, so I wouldn't really trade those. But everything else, like on the aspect of trading, like Mondays, uh, this is a joke, but I'm like, oh, I was gonna say a joke, but how long have you been in? Let me ask you this question. I was gonna put a joke on me, but let me see. How long you been in? Because whenever you said like, "Are Mondays good at trade?" I was like, "Well, I hope so," because they put me to trade on Mondays with you guys. No, but I have an answer to you. I have an answer. I'm just joking. I would say like for Mondays though, like 3 weeks. Okay, perfect. Welcome, welcome. I would say for 3 weeks, Mondays, you can find good setups. Like think of like the market barely waking up because the market does open up Sundays, which on that case scenario, it could, right? It could go in your favor. But all you're doing right now is like actually looking for, quality setups, right? Not taking anything or everything that you see, but looking for that quality setup that has your overall POV and interest when it comes down to that. And that's like the biggest thing that I always say for everybody is whenever you are wanting to take setups like that, it's just being very cautious and aware, right? Being very cautious and aware what is it you're trying to get yourself into. But Mondays are pretty good. I wouldn't say like they're horrible. It's just look for the setup, trade the setup, and that's like the only thing that you could, really be paying attention to. So Mondays, like I said, we'll send this call out so you can actually see it and see it for yourself. See it for yourself, and I'll be hosting that one as well too, so we can definitely get more into detail. One thing I have like usually with these calls, especially like on Saturday nights, I do back testing calls as well too. We can dissect what the Monday looks like as well, meaning that we'll go into detail as well to see our Monday's good so we can like back test it. And I can show you how you can do that on your own and you can kind of determine that if you feel like Mondays are good. Because I would say I've heard Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays they do have for sure more of a better liquidity days where you'll see the market really react and has more probabilities, and is that true? Maybe. But I've seen areas and I've had big days. I've had big days on Mondays. I've had big days on Fridays, and then I don't want you to be too attached. Like, if there's one key tip that I can give you guys is that do not be attached to the outcome or a specific day either. The moment that you use certain words, you are officially creating an imaginary ankle chain bracelet to your ankle. And now it's like imagine you throw a big rock in the water and now you sink with it because you have your ankles attached to that big rock, and if they throw you in the water, boom, you're done as well. You're just gonna just start sinking. And so if your goal is to not do that, right? Because certain words can get you to actually believe what you believe. I would just say observe what it is that you see. Never attach yourself to anything that you see inside the market. And I speak from experience. I would say like I'm someone that really is attached to a lot of things. And when the market's probably one of them at the time, like I was really, really attached to the outcome because I felt like I had to be always right. Like right now, guys, like when we took this small little setup, this little like 5 second setup, I said, here we can probably play this. Boom, I gave it to you because I am taking the same thing too. And I said, but it was very fast, of course. It ran up 1 to 2. At that point, you could move your stop loss to break even. I didn't. I was just like, I'm just risking 11 pips. I need this trade to breathe a little bit. So I'm okay with having it not, just letting it breathe. And so that's like the same thing here, I would say for you guys, is the fact like I could have sat here and been like, damn, I just lost in front of these people and all these people think I kind of suck. Or I could have sat here and said, no, like I'm trading my setup, and if you took it, boom, we lost together. If you lost bigger than me, then that is your fault. If you lost way more bigger than me, aka you lost like a bigger percentage, that is your fault. Don't blame no one else except for you. Because no one told you to take the trade, no one's next to you pressing that lot size button. But that's where the next following learning lesson begins. Okay, how is it that the fact that I don't have to risk a lot? How can I not go from trading heavy to now trading properly with proper risk management like everybody else is? Because I am tired of, what's it called? Losing, or I am tired of like, I'm not gonna say losing. I'm tired of like, risking too much than I should, you know? So those are certain things that you could be paying attention to, right? You could be paying attention to those certain things. So keep that in mind. Oh, look at this. Sheesh. Clear liquidity, institutional move to the downside balance, re-entry, bingo. Very nice drop. This was beautiful setup. Beautiful, beautiful. No, but let's keep that in mind. I would say like I don't think there's like an exact perfect day to trade. There are days where you'll see more volume, more market, reacting to, which is Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, the middle of the week. But I've had experiences where you can make good money and you can see good movements inside Mondays and Fridays. Just don't attach yourself too much and say, okay, cool, I'll just only trade Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, because you'll be surprised that you'll actually miss certain setups. But then again, now saying that because someone might clip what I just said, um, putting to context, you know, I would say as well with that, you don't have to trade every day either. Because I'm not, if your days are only Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, then you can stick to that. I'm not saying that you have to trade all these freaking days, but what I am saying is like you could just go ahead and stick to what you want to the days you want to trade, but as well be open to anything and everything, right? Be open to anything and everything. Right? Because I'm a big person, believe it or not. Before these calls, let me turn this alarm. Before these calls, I actually was not hosting these calls except for Saturday morning. I mean Saturday nights back testing. I was actually yeah, I was actually not hosting these calls at all. So trading live with you guys is actually different. It's a different scenario that I'm actually playing right now. And I'm not fearful or afraid. It's actually really interesting because we do this on back testing live with everybody and everything that I've done and the few of you guys that have actually hopped on, then you guys know like these are the steps that we're actually testing out and putting our skills to the test, right? They've seen it. The ones that pretty much are on those calls with me, they've seen it. So those seconds time frames, we've played those. I was comfortable enough to take because I've done the test, right? So there's a lot we can do. There's a lot we can yap about, but yeah. But it was successful. I would say if again, I don't trade every day, but if there's a setup that I can share with you guys, then we share it. There was really a setup we could have taken, but never really came because that for sure was the number one thing I really wanted to take right there, at least. But yeah, guys, other than that, hopefully I'll have an amazing day. We're gonna wrap it up here and let's kill it for next week. Let's kill for next week and let's get it rocking with and hopefully I'll have an amazing day and let's get it. Other than that, talk to y'all soon.